Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 26th of January. India showcases its military might on 67th Republic Day. Bacha Khan University closes indefinitely as staff demands more security. And Sri Lanka destroys biggest ever illegal ivory haul. And now for all the details. India on Tuesday celebrated 67th Republic Day with zeal. On this day, the Indian Constitution was adopted and the country was declared as a sovereign republic in 1950.
India's military prowess and diverse cultural heritage were put on display at the traditional parade in national capital New Delhi on Tuesday. A majestic military parade was held on the occasion at Rajpath, which stretches from the President's Palace to India Gate, a memorial dedicated to more than 90,000 soldiers. The three wings of the Indian Armed Forces, the Army, the Navy and the Air Force displayed latest tanks and missile launchers. Tableau representing various provinces of the country showcased its rich heritage and cultural diversity. French President François Hollande was the chief guest at this year's main Republic Day function in New Delhi, where the parade started with French troops marching down Rajpath in sync with tunes of drum beats. This was the first time a foreign military contingent took part in the Republic Day parade. Provinces across India also marked the day by unfurling the Indian tricolour flag. Tight security was put up in place across the country to avert any untoward incident. India got independence from British rule on August 15, 1947, but it declared itself a sovereign republic state on January 26, 1950, when it adopted its constitution. Since then, the country has been celebrating the day with great gusto.
Moving on to news from Pakistan. A day after it reopened following the terrorist attack, the Bacha Khan University in Pakistan closed on Tuesday for an indefinite period as teachers and staff members demanded more security. The faculty members and management of the varsity have asked the government to take practical steps to improve security in the campus. Authorities said the university will remain closed for repair work and improvement of security. Also, the students' state of mind and the stress they are facing since the attack, along with the bad weather, are also said to be factors for closure of the university. 21 people were killed when 4 terrorists entered the Bacha Khan University in Charsada of Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and opened fire in the campus last week. Staying on news from the country, Pakistan's powerful military chief, General Raheel Sharif, has put all speculations to rest by informing that he would retire in November when his tenure gets officially over and is not pondering about any extension on it. Sharif's statement was meant to quash the debate on whether or not the government should give him an extension and if he would accept it.
Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff General Raheel Sharif will hand over power to his successor, who will take up the job in about 10 months from now. The Army Chief's statement confirming his retirement on the due date in November makes him the first Army Chief since 1998 to doff his military uniform after completing his 3-year tenure. His immediate predecessors, General Pervez Musharraf and General Ashfaq Pervez Kayani, had stayed beyond their mandatory terms. In recent times, the Pakistan Army's political power increased significantly, especially after the Peshawar school attack of 16 December 2014, when the Pakistani Taliban murdered 134 school children in the school campus. Within days, the civilian leadership had formulated a national action plan to confront the militants. Aware that the civilian courts are generally reluctant to convict jihadists, the parliament then passed a constitutional amendment to establish military courts. The military courts have since then arrested and hanged many people accused of terrorism, on the orders of General Raheel Sharif.
People of Gilgit-Baltistan continue to struggle for basic rights. Successive governments rule the region but fail to address their problems. A report.
Falling infrastructure, unemployment, poor road connectivity and rampant corruption. Problems of people of Gilgit-Baltistan remain the same despite of the fact that months have passed since the new government of Pakistan Muslim League came into power in 2015. The hopes of locals for a prosperous society now continue to diminish. Even the opposition party has come out and attacked the government for not fulfilling the promises they made to people. Locals say the resource-rich region has for long been exploited to facilitate other regions of Pakistan. They claim that the political parties only listen to their problems during the elections but hum a different tune after coming to power. Gilgit-Baltistan was originally a part of India's princely state of Jammu and Kashmir until its illegal occupation 6 decades ago. Years of continued neglect by Islamabad and a corrupt administration system has made Gilgit-Baltistan the most backward region under Pakistan's rule.
Moving on to news from a neighboring country. Afghanistan government has rejected Taliban's preconditions for the resumption of stalled peace talks, stating that such prerequisites could undermine the peace process. A report.
The Afghan High Peace Council has stated that the Taliban should raise their issues and concerns at the peace table other than putting forward preconditions. The council, which was formed to negotiate peace with elements of the militant group, has said that breakthrough could only be achieved when there are face-to-face talks between the Afghan government and the Taliban at the negotiation table. During a 2-day unofficial meeting in Qatar's capital Doha, Taliban representatives met people close to the Afghan government and laid out its demands before the resumption of peace talks. Taliban's representatives stated that a formal process cannot proceed until foreign troops withdraw from the country. The militant groups had also asked for removal of its name from the United Nations blacklist, a halt to the arrest and elimination of the group's fighters, and the release of Taliban inmates from jails. The Afghan government, while rejecting their conditions, reiterated that the peace talks with the insurgent group will be in line with the decision of the quadrilateral meeting. The Afghan government is holding a series of meetings with Pakistan, US and China for laying a roadmap for talks on peace process in Afghanistan.
Sending a stern message to animal poachers, Sri Lanka on Tuesday publicly destroyed its biggest ever illegal ivory haul. More than 350 elephant tusks were fed into a 100-ton crusher to be sent to an industrial furnace. The organizers also paid homage to the slain wild animals by holding a Buddhist ceremony and observing 2-minute silence. Sri Lankan customs officials had confiscated the tusks in 2012 while the illegal shipment was in transit on its way to Dubai from Kenya. John Scanlon, the Secretary General of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, attended the event with Sri Lanka's Wildlife Minister Gamini Jaya Vikrama Perera.
The destruction of the 359 pieces of... Today's event is the first such destruction of confiscated ivory in South Asia, and it is the first time that such an event has included a religious ceremony in honour of the elephants that were killed, which has made today's event truly unique and a remarkable event.
Former President of Maldives, Mohammad Nasheed, has called for targeted sanction on the Maldivian government for alleged human rights abuses in the country. Nasheed is currently in United Kingdom for medical treatment.
Former President Mohammad Nasheed warned of dictatorship returning to his country in wake of the alleged autocracy being pursued by the Abdullah Yameen government. Other opposition leaders and hundreds of opposition supporters are either in jail or facing criminal charges and intimidation while the government continues to undermine the country's nascent democratic institution, he said.
It's easy to topple a dictator, but not so easy to uproot a dictatorship. The lingering remains of dictatorships remain in the countries, in societies, for far longer than we think we know.
Nasheed, who was flanked by a powerful legal team, said that targeted sanctions should be imposed on individuals directly responsible for gross human rights violation.
The case for sanctions remains urgent. Even though President Nasheed is here today, we cannot forget that he has not been pardoned in the Maldives. Nasheed with us in London today, but let us not forget, if the government has its way, he'll be back in a prison cell in less than 30 days. And that would be for the crime of simply being a moderate and popular political leader in the country.
Nasheed, who is Maldives' first democratically elected president, was incarcerated last year for 13 years on terrorism charges, triggering political unrest in the country. He was temporarily released from prison last week for a spine surgery in London after much lobbying by Sri Lanka, India, the UK and the US.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India showcases its military might on 67th Republic Day. Bacha Khan University closes indefinitely as staff demands more security. And Sri Lanka destroys biggest ever illegal ivory haul. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.